Hey guys, happy Monday. Happy Monday. I'm going to close some tabs so that this works better. Please hold. Happy Monday. Okay, that should make it better. Okay, so today I wanted to talk to you guys. I'm kind of starting a series on the 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing. This is a great marketing book. It has different themes to it. So today I want to talk to you guys about chapter one. Chapter one is all about leadership, but it's not about leadership in that, like, the leadership of your company or your top sales rep or like your leadership is so important. The way that, so law number one of immutable marketing is leadership, in that being the first to come up with an idea, that type of like leading the industry, is way better than trying to be the best. So I'm sure that some of you guys could relate to this. For me, I've gotten caught up in my life, in as far as creating a business and whatever it may be, in like wanting to make it the best, wanting to make it the best. And so when you want to make things the best, you're sort of slow to launch them because you're not ready, and then you're not ready, and then you're not ready to launch them. So this was just talking about how it's better to be first, because typically the people that are first are the companies that end up staying in people's mind. And I highlighted a couple of different parts of chapter one for you guys so I can give you kind of like this high level synopsis of it. Okay, so it's better to be first than it is to be better. So then they gave me a bunch of different like examples of this. When you think of cola, like Coca-Cola, you think of Coke, right? When you think of um like who was the first who what's the first sports drink? You think of Gatorade. What do you take when you're sick? You think of um aspirin. Aspirin's not what it is, right? Like aspirin isn't the chemical composition. Bayer Aspirin is the name of a company that became such a brand name because it was the first one out there. It's like if you go to the doctor, or maybe if you sit with someone and they have a headache, you say, take an Advil. Advil's the name of something. Advil is the company's name. Advil is not, yes, Advil's a product that that company sells, but it's, so, and the same thing goes for Tylenol. The same thing goes for Tide. The reason why Tide, like laundry detergent, is popular was because Tide was the first laundry detergent. Think about in your own mind. You can think of the first president, George Washington. The reason why we all, which we don't recognize, so this chapter one went to talk about the reason why, like, if you see someone, you think of like a Chrysler minivan. Chrysler has 10% of the car market. Chrysler minivans have 50% of the minivan market because Chrysler was the first person to put a minivan out, and all of us subconsciously, unconsciously think of a Chrysler minivan, right? So it's like, as far as what we're thinking about right now and what the current events are, think about Tesla will forever in our minds be thought of as like the first electric vehicle because it just was. And then more companies will come after it and come after it. And the book talks about, who is the first person to run the 4 minute mile? Okay, then who was the second person to run the 4 minute mile? Who was the second president? I'm like, comment in the comments, who is the second president? I honestly don't know. George Washington was the first. So the the first immutable law of marketing is it's better to be first than it is to be better. And it went on talking about how, sometimes companies get so caught up in wanting to be better before they launch a product. But the companies that launch a product, everyone just begins to associate the name John Adams. Okay, thanks, John Cook. Um, Begins to associate the name. They have a couple of other ones. Like, for example, after World War II, Heineken was the first beer that was ever imported. Right now in the nation, there's over 425 imported beers. Heineken is probably not the best tasting imported beer. It still has the number one share in the market because it was the number one imported beer and it still is, right? So when you're first in an industry and you do something, number one, it's better to just put it out there and to do it versus than trying to be or create a better product being number two, a better product of what number one did. So, how can we apply this law of marketing to the roofing industry? Oftentimes, I feel that people in the roofing industry, like we get so caught in our day to day, we think that everything has been invented for the roofing industry. This is the way you do things. This. Like, guys, you have to realize that people once thought three tab was like the latest and greatest, and like it's never going to get better than a three tab shingle. Like, three tab was the bee's knees at a time in our life. So was like corrugated metal panels. Not saying that they don't do those anymore. You can, but just standing seam is the next greatest. So I'm not necessarily saying to you go out and invent these great things that have never been invented. However, I am saying to you that there's different ways of building things. There's new products that are coming out. There's different ways of doing all of the things that we're currently doing that have not yet been created, that have not yet been marketed, to where if you were the first person to offer X, and so um, think about that a bit. I've been thinking about what are the different areas of the roofing industry that still need to be further developed. All of them, all of them can be further developed, but what are the places that can be so that your company can become one of those household names that you're just kind of known for? Wouldn't it be cool? Maybe your company's named USA Roofing. Okay, and then you installed this certain type of roof, and then people just knew it as like a USA roof. The name of the roof isn't that. It's the name of your company, but then you become a household name, right? So like that's long-term goals in a marketing strategy for a brand that's wanting to go national is like you want you want people to associate the name of your brand with what the product is. Okay, I want to give you a couple more examples of this. Um, okay, like a Gillette razor. Gillette razors were the first razors with a safety blade. It's just like all of these different ones. A Xerox, when people are like, I need a Xerox copy, Xerox was the name of a copy machine that was made. But then people will go in and ask for Xerox copies and get that copied or printed out of a different machine that's not a Xerox machine, right? Jello. Jello is a brand name. You guys, we all associate Jello with this like substance, Jello. That is a brand name. That's not actually what the product is. Q-tips, crazy glue, saran wrap, Velcro, all of those things. That's not what that actually is. But when I just told you guys all of those things, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Those are brand names. Those are company names that I just told you that are so ingrained in your subconscious that you think about exactly what the product is by just telling you the company's name. So, the advice was if you're introducing the first brand in a new category, you should always try to choose a name that could be used generically. So if you guys are going to roll out a new shingle, or if you're going to roll out a new lift, or if you're going to like the catch-all system, something like that, if you're going to ever bring out a new product or a new way of working or a new way of installing or a new nail pattern or whatever it is, You should always roll it out and choose a name that could sound like the USA nail pattern, right? And then 10 years down the road, it goes into code books that the way you install that shingle is by the USA method. Well, the USA method came from USA Roofing and the way that they did it. So, all to say, the immutable laws, number one is leadership, not leadership as far as in your company. I'm not saying that's not important, but leadership as far as if you're first, then you're first and no one knows who second is. No one remembers who was second, right? So think boldly. If you have ideas, go out into the world and make them happen. And I'm going to be reading from this book. I think that I'll probably cruise through it for marketing solutions for the next couple of weeks. It's very interesting. I've got some things highlighted, so I'll share them with you guys on my stories. And I hope you have the most beautiful Monday. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you later.